Hello, my name is John Sims with the Avaya Serviceability Engineering team. This video is about tracing IP Office applications using the Debug View tool. So what is the Debug View tool? And you'll see in documentation it's often noted as DbgView. Well, many IP Office applications output tracing activity to Debug View application. It's not made part of the application distributables, so you'll have to go to the Marketing Tools Avaya.com knowledge base, otherwise known as the IP Office knowledge base, under Tools Debug to download the tool. Debug View is a good tool to have in your toolbox, especially when working around IP Office applications, in particular VMPRO. It's quite often that Avaya support will ask for DbgView tracing output. So step one is to download the tool. So once you hit the marketing site, the IP Office knowledge base, you'll have to sign in with your SSO account or single sign-on account, and you'll be brought to the DbgView page, in which case we have the zip file located there for you. So you'll want to simply save that file to your file system location of choice. So you see I've saved the DbgView zip file to a Debug View folder, and using WinRAR I'll extract the files, and then I'll go ahead and delete the zip file. So with the zip file out of the way, there's only two files, the DLL file and the executable, and that is the complete package of Debug View. You simply execute the dbgview.exe from within the same directory that contains the DLL file. So you see here the very start of the DbgView screen, and first off we'll set log preferences. So we'll enable log file capabilities, and we can set the interval for by the hour or by the megabytes. So we could enter, say, a 10 megabyte limit per log file. But in this case, what you'll generally do, because it's easier for troubleshooting, matching up hour events, is to save the file, set it for every n hours. So we'll have a rolling log, a new log created every hour. Then we'll give it a file name, customer name for example, and we're set. Now what I want to show you is if we simply go into the DbgView folder, you'll see just a normal timestamp log file without the customer name that we wanted to include. That's because we'll have to then relaunch DbgView. So I'll, as you see me, close DbgView and relaunch the application. Now if we return to the DbgView directory, you'll see that we have the customer name based log file set up as intended. So now we're back into the DbgView application, and we're going to set up our filtering. So under View, Debug Filters, we can now set up our debug level and make our adjustments to the filtering. But there's a problem. You see there's not a voicemail pro or other IP Office application to monitor. And we see all the hex values only on the right hand filtering adjustments side. That's because I want to make this point. This is not a remote monitoring tool. DbgView is intended to be run on the Windows-based application server that is hosting the IP Office application. So now let's take a look at DbgView when running on a VMPRO server. Again, DbgView can run from any directory, but it needs to be able to find the Windows application services in order to be able to monitor them correctly. So you see we already have some nice output, very human readable, into the DbgView screen. And under Edit, we can select all and copy all this information from this screen to WordPad, and there'll be more on WordPad later. So we can do a copy and a paste into WordPad. WordPad is needed because it'll format the rich text format properly. So now we have a Debug View running on a VMPRO system. Let's go into View, Debug Filters, and you'll see quite a difference already. You'll see that we have many processes to collect tracing on, including the VMPRO service. So I'll expand trace element side where we can select what we want to trace on. and you see all the various subcomponents listed of VMPRO that we can collect specific tracing on. Now they're all checked by default, but let's say for instance you want to only trace an issue with VMPRO campaigns. You can start to unselect, as you see me doing, all the other sub-processes and just keep the campaigns process checked. That's one option for you. Otherwise, at times we simply leave them all checked and collect all the tracing information we can in the full DbgView trace output. So now it's time to play with debug output levels. So you see we're set for informational. It's always a good start point. At times we set, or we're asked to collect a high trace. If you select high trace, you'll get a lot of output, of course, and you can also select just the error mode. The error mode is only when we're trying to trap on a specific and see a specific error. We know that we're throwing an error condition into the output, into the tracing, something that we can easily reproduce. But to give you an example or a feel, if we select high trace and then we simply close down our debug filter settings panel once we set the output level that we want, and now you'll see Debug View come alive and you'll see a lot of tracing occur on the screen. Again, human readable. This is all on the screen that we can capture manually. Otherwise it is, because we set up log preferences, capturing all this information into our log file as well. And when we have tracing set to high, you'll see all the procedural calls, everything dipping in and out of the registry. The full activity of the VMPRO service is being captured. So we'll set that back to informational to keep our sanity, and again close the Debug View settings panel. At any time we can go and simply clear the screen. That aids you if you are in fact trying to see something on the screen in real time. Bear in mind you can always clear the screen, but everything else is still being captured into the log file as needed. Now let's take a look at the actual log file. You see we have our log file that we've been outputting to, and if we right click, we should open with WordPad. Again, to reinforce, don't use Notepad, you'll get a very poorly formatted screen. So use WordPad, it'll format the DbgView output properly, and make sure you have, as I'm showing you here, the word wrap configured. That will also give you a cleaner looking output into WordPad. Now I'm going to go ahead and scroll down in WordPad just to show you how much is in fact collected. Lots of good tracing output here, and including here you see me dipping in and doing some voicemail collection into my voice mailbox. So again, DbgView output is very human readable, very helpful for all types of case support. Thank you for your time today. We hope this information was useful. We welcome comments, questions, and feedback at mentor@avaya.com or on Twitter @AvayaMentor. Thank you for choosing Avaya.